Hey guys, it's Vaughn and welcome to the first of many pregnancy Q&A videos. Some of you guys are probably watching this and you're like, wait, what's going on? Don't worry, you're not alone. This was a very last minute decision. I decided like 2 days ago that I kind of wanted to find a more meaningful way to connect with you guys around this pregnancy, because I feel like I was trying to like make time within my real life vlogs to kind of talk about pregnancy specific subject matter with you guys, and it was really just kind of turning me into the type of vlogger that I really don't know that I really want to be. I like my vlog videos to be more about like doing and showing, and I feel like I was kind of starting to spend a little bit of time like sitting down and just like rambling and talking to you guys. So I figured we would just make a separate series that we can kind of just post like midweek, so you guys will still get the Sunday vlog videos, and then you'll kind of get these in the middle of the week to kind of dive a little bit deeper into like the pregnancy content. And I did ask you guys on YouTube on my community tab, and then I also asked you guys on Instagram to kind of just share some questions that you guys had about the pregnancy so that I could, you know, kind of go through it, compile it, and then we could just answer them here. So today is video 1, and then we're probably gonna do like 3 more for the month of July. So, you know, 1 month of me rambling about my pregnancy is probably all you guys need. And I want to thank all of you who participated in, you know, submitting questions. I appreciate you guys so much. I really want to call out that most of you, right, asked me how I was doing. You guys didn't ask for any tea. You didn't ask for any private information. You just wanted to know how I was doing, and y'all, I appreciate that so much. I was just talking to Anthony about that earlier. So I definitely want to start this video off just thanking you all for giving a damn. Thank you. So like I said, I reached out to you guys on Instagram and my YouTube community tab for the questions, and a lot of the questions were pretty much the same, right? There was a ton of overlap. So I decided that for these videos, I'll just kind of approach it like, you know, just conversationally. I won't be addressing like individual questions and all that, because in my opinion, like I've watched Q&A videos with other people and that makes the video kind of boring. Like I'd rather you just like talk about the subject matter in an organized way, and then you can kind of just get to everyone's questions within that discussion. So if you did have a question that you submitted, my suggestion to you is to watch this entire video because your question is probably gonna get answered somewhere in this conversation. So let's go ahead and start off with the big elephant in the room, right? The 2 major questions that you guys have been asking is, when is my due date and what is the gender? So I decided in this pregnancy that I wasn't going to publicly talk about either of those things until much later in the pregnancy. Pretty much everyone in my personal life knows the answer to those 2 questions, but I did not want to like go social media with it, because from my experience from, you know, last time and then just watching other pregnant influencers, it creates an environment of like expectations and pressure around like, you know, giving birth at a certain time because that's the date you said you were due, and then having people kind of like follow up and like ask a bunch of questions. And you know, for some moms, it can cause a little bit of stress, especially if you're in kind of a high risk pregnancy situation. I didn't want to necessarily disclose that, but you guys will know when the baby is here. And as far as the gender, we are aware of the gender, and I'm actually not doing like an official gender reveal or anything like that, but I will say that you guys will find out like in the coming weeks, because I do want to create a special announcement for you all. We're just not doing like a party or anything like that. So definitely stay tuned. In the coming weeks, you guys will find out. And then that leads me to the next question. Someone asked, you know, if we had a name picked out. We actually don't. Y'all, when it comes to naming, I get stumped pretty good, right? I like classic names. I like naming babies after prominent family members, you know, people who made an impact in your life and kind of like attributing that name to that child. So I really am a fan of that, but I'm just not sure with this pregnancy. I will say this though, to give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes. When I found out I was pregnant, we had this assumption of what the gender would be, and we actually had a first and middle name for that gender. And then when we found out the gender, it switched things, and now we don't have a clue. So we're working on it. I do believe though that I have a middle name nailed down. Really excited about the middle name. We just gotta figure out the first name. So I will say most likely by the time we have the baby sprinkle, we'll know the name. If not, you guys will definitely find out when I announce the birth. Another question that you guys asked a whole bunch was this a planned pregnancy? So the short answer is yes. Yes, this was a planned pregnancy. Was the timing planned? No. You know how like you want something and then you get it, but you get it when nature says you're gonna get it? That's kind of what happened with us. We have been trying and, you know, missing, right? I don't want to say we were failing, so I don't want to use terminology like that, but we were trying and missing for quite a while. So it really boiled down to, you know, just finding more accuracy in tracking those moments where I was more fertile and just trying to like synchronize it. And you guys, in a marriage, in a loving marriage, sometimes it gets really weird trying to like get pregnant on purpose, because it kind of interferes with like the natural flow of intimacy, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of introducing like some awkward weirdness, but we ended up getting through it because we both really wanted this. And so, you know, in the end, it turned out that we got what we wanted, and we're so so grateful for that. Like, I felt like such a privilege to be able to want to have a baby and able to have a baby. Like, very much aware of like infertility issues and things that women have to go through, and I did not take for granted this pregnancy at all. And I think, like, you know, struggles with getting pregnant on purpose as far as a fertility issue is actually a lot more common than we all think. You know, a lot of people don't, you know, just openly talk about that, whether it's an infertility issue, whether it's actually something genetic, or whether it's just like timing, like kind of how it was for us, and just really understanding the science of conception and, you know, having to track your ovulation and things like that. So while I wasn't in the pool of people who needed like a medical intervention, I did need the help of like some apps, you know, for the whole calendar of it all. I did utilize an ovulation tool. I don't even remember what I used at this point. It was so long ago. As far as my age goes, right? So some of you who may be new, I am 40 years old. For the most part, you guys asked some really good questions about the age thing. I think some of you guys were even asking out of a personal position. You guys were saying that you're also getting older and thinking about, you know, conceiving for the first time. Some of you were thinking about conceiving for, you know, a second or third time, and that you were up, you know, further up in age, and you were kind of worried and wondered if I had some similar concerns. And I'll say, for the most part, yes. I'm very aware that I'm 40, and I'm aware of geriatric pregnancy and what some of those risk factors look like. But at the same time, I kind of wasn't really worried, just because of the lifestyle that I live and the conversations that I've had with my doctors. I was in conversations with my doctor through the process of trying to get pregnant. So I was already talking about the age thing and the risk factors, and, you know, what some of that would look like for me specifically. I was being tested for things, you know, preliminarily. So I was very much so in a position to like understand and know what my risk factors were, which were very low. So I would just say, like, advice to anyone out there who's thinking about embarking on a geriatric pregnancy or advanced maternal age pregnancy, definitely talk with your doctor very candidly about what that looks like for you specifically, because it is going to be different for everyone. For me, I have no health problems. I've never been overweight. I don't have any pre-existing conditions. I don't have any high blood pressure, never did. So I'm in a very like lucky position. You know, I call it luck, but at the same time, I worked really hard to be a healthy 40-year-old. Like, I took my 30s very seriously. You know, I got into a really good health and fitness kind of groove, and I haven't let up yet, and I won't be letting up until my body tells me, all right, you're done. So just kind of like being conscious of what I'm eating, staying fit by any means necessary, and just not ever having to get to a place where you have to try and get ready. If stay ready so you don't have to get ready was a person, it'd be me, honey, especially when it comes to this pregnancy. I am so grateful for the decisions that I made, you know, years ago leading up to this, even if I was not aware of it, because it has helped me so much have a smooth pregnancy, because so much could go wrong. So much could go wrong. Just talk to your doctor, right? That's going to be the best person to offer you any kind of advice with this. And I don't think there's a doctor out there who would tell you, no, you shouldn't do this unless there's something really major going on. They're going to help you through how to make this happen for you. So it is a medical conversation. It is a healthcare conversation. So to summarize all of that, was I worried? No. Was I aware that I am older and that things could potentially affect the pregnancy? Yes. So there's the two. And just to be honest, in this day and age, pregnancy is being kind of held off on more and more, and I think, you know, the medical industry is already seeing that. There's a lot more education around, you know, what advanced maternal age pregnancies look like. So I think the more we educate ourselves and the better we take care of ourselves, our chances of having successful pregnancies later in life will increase, and it'll almost become the norm. And what I mean by that is that I think it'll be almost as acceptable to be an older mother as it is to be a younger mother. One of the factors for us personally that contributed to us kind of delaying having another child was the autism diagnosis with my daughter, Ann. In my opinion, not enough autism moms talk about how an autism diagnosis can affect family planning, because I was actually looking for information like that, especially around the time when Ann was diagnosed, and I couldn't find much, right? I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, hush hush, you know, people don't really want to talk about it. It is kind of an intense emotional kind of conversation, so I get it, but it's almost just like non-existent. And I was like, geez, you know, I wish I knew more about how autism parents were kind of navigating family planning. For us, it threw a big monkey wrench in our family planning, right? Because what we had prepared ourselves for when we were preparing for Ann was not what we got, you know? Like, we didn't know we were going to get a life-changing diagnosis like autism. And we weren't fearful of having another child because of the risk of having autism reoccur and blah, blah, blah. We didn't have those fears necessarily. We were just going through like the growing pains of like understanding what type of care Ann needed and being able to be there for her in the things that she needed, which was a lot. And just kind of trying to plan around her future and just kind of focus on her, giving her the attention that she deserves as our child, and just kind of fearing that if we had another child, it would take away from that. So for a long time, we kind of sat with that. But the desire to have another child was so strong for both of us that, you know, eventually we figured out a way to kind of reconcile that. And even now, you know, we still feel pretty confident that we can still be the parent that she needs while also growing our family. And so when it comes to our aspirations, we kind of hope to be one of those types of families that just really functions well around the diagnosis. And I know some of you guys are curious as to whether or not Anthony or I have fears around the new baby having an autism diagnosis. And to be honest with you guys, I can almost without a doubt say no, we don't have that fear. And here's why I can say that. I'm in kind of a similar headspace as I was when I was pregnant with my daughter Ann. And in the same way that I didn't have any expectations for that pregnancy, I kind of feel the same about this one. So I didn't have the autism cloud, you know, following me around when I was pregnant with Ann, and I don't have it now. And that might be a unique perspective, I'm not sure, but I just am kind of a blank slate, right? I don't typically fantasize about what the child will look like, what they'll be like. You know, for some reason for me, it's just blank. When I think about the kid and like who they are and what they're gonna become, it's blank. It doesn't start to fill in until the child is present. I can see them, I can start to experience them, figure out who they are, figure out their likes, dislikes, and all that. It's not until that starts to happen that my mind starts to fill in with, okay, this is who this child is. But until then, until they're born, I have no idea. So I'm kind of experiencing the same thing with this pregnancy. So while there is statistical data that, you know, might show that there is an increase in the likelihood that you could have another child on the spectrum, that plays a very small part in how we're approaching this pregnancy. And you know, every family is going to be different. I have gotten some inappropriate questions relating to like the autism conversation with this pregnancy. And I just want to be clear that all questions are good questions. I just truly have a preference to avoid questions and conversation and subject matter around fault theories, right? Trying to come up with all these different reasons as to why a child may have a diagnosis, what the mother may have done to cause it, what environmental factors, all that. I like to avoid those types of conversations because I don't think they're fair. And I also like to avoid anything relating to cures around autism. Dietary, you know, restrictions and metal detoxes and different magic potions and like whatever else, right? Those are the things that I like to avoid. So everything else is pretty much open season. Those are just the two concepts that I will actively avoid. So with that said, I want to let you guys know that if you do have more questions about autism and family planning and how it's been impacting our family, drop those questions below and we'll talk about them in the next pregnancy Q&A video. So how did I know I was pregnant is another question that a couple of you guys had. So I took a pregnancy test, one of many pregnancy tests that I took, okay? Yeah, multiple not pregnants, right? And I was using Clear Blue pregnancy detection technology the whole time. I was constantly getting these not pregnant results. And then one day, right, I had this feeling that I might have hit the jackpot. I might be pregnant. And I had the feeling while I was out, and I'm a very impatient person, you guys. I can't wait. So I was in Target. I was actually with my friend Erin. So technically she was like the first person to find out about the pregnancy status. It was her and Martina. Those were the first two people to know because Erin was with me, and then I called Martina on FaceTime. So there you go. But I went to Target, you know, we were shopping. I picked up a pregnancy test and I went to the bathroom and took it. And I came back out the bathroom. Erin was over on the other side of the store shopping for bras. And I just walked up on her like, girl, I am pregnant. And she just screamed. People in Target were like, what in the world? It was awesome though. Then I immediately, you know, FaceTime Martina, and we were, the three of us, just kind of like talking and all that. And I wanted to wait to tell my family. I wanted to wait to tell Anthony because one, I wanted to surprise him. I knew this was something that we were both kind of waiting for, and I wanted the reveal to him to be special. So I did take some time to plan a reveal for him, and it was around the holiday. So I had bought this little tin canister from like Walmart, right? It was like a holiday themed thing. And it said, you know, great things come in small packages or something to that effect. And I was like, oh my God, how perfect would this be if I put the pregnancy test in this little tin, put it under the Christmas tree, have him look at it all that time. And then when he finally opens it, he gets to see the result at the end. So that was my plan. And this was his reaction. Glad I didn't get you the 11 then. Shit.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you didn't either. No, this is perfect.
You like it?
Well, what color's the other one? White?
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm like, this would have been better because then it's like, it don't get as dirty. You know what I'm saying? You like it? And you give Daddy a hug. Give Daddy a hug. And give Daddy a hug. She loving it. Oh, you get Daddy a hug. Aww. All right, we got this little one right here. Chuck E. Cheese, you baby.
This?
Yeah, it's silly little packaging here. I could find a little box.
Oh.
Co-op. You gotta open the little card. We never give each other cards, you know.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
But you got to pick that back up. He said, thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Pull it out.
What?
So as you can see, Anthony was extremely excited. He was a little bashful because he didn't see that I was recording, but it was a really great moment and we were able to experience that on Christmas. After I told Anthony, I went ahead and got my sisters together. One of them was present in the flesh and the other one was on FaceTime, and I told them, and their reaction was mostly crying. They were surprised. They didn't see it coming because I did not share with my family that I was trying to get pregnant. That's the other thing I didn't mention. I didn't want them to worry about me. My family will worry to death, and I didn't want them, you know, being like, oh, is something wrong? Oh, you know, whatever. So I didn't want to tell them. I just wanted, you know, I was only going to tell them I was trying if I actually could get pregnant. If I never could get pregnant, I was never going to tell them, you know, so that's how that was going to play out. So you guys know that I'm not actually in communication with my mom for mental health reasons, but I was thoughtful of her in all of this. So when I was getting ready to tell my dad about the pregnancy, I went ahead and invited my mom over as well so that I could tell them both together. And I had this picture perfect family ideal in my head that it would be this cute, you know, reveal to them and I would get their cute reactions. So I was actually filming me telling them on my phone. But you guys, my mom's reaction was so inappropriate that I didn't think it would be right for me to share it with you guys here. I mean, it was just extremely lackluster to the point of almost embarrassing. So I just didn't want to, you know, show it. So I just deleted the video and I just didn't even ever share it here. I'm not gonna go into details about what she did or didn't do. I'll just say that my dad congratulated me right away and gave me a hug. And it was such a beautiful, you know, satisfying moment. And he was really happy for me. I will say this though, that, you know, after all of the hype was, you know, kind of died down about the pregnancy, my dad was like literally like, okay, is this safe? You know, because like he's not aware of like all of the technological advancements in maternal health. So he was concerned about my age and being pregnant, and I had to give him the rundown. And even to this day, right, like I'm still pregnant and I'm still having to give my dad these updates because he's just not convinced, you know. So I always have to check in with him when I go to the doctor and stuff and just share things with him that I'm learning about myself and my health. And, you know, whenever I get tests done and all that, I share the results with him and I'm like, see, Dad, everything is gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. So he's a lot more confident in everything now. I do want to say that between Martina and Aaron, they were really key in helping me kind of hide this pregnancy from the public and from everyone around me, right? It was very important to me to maintain some level of prenatal privacy, if you will, if that's even a thing. It needs to be a thing if it isn't. It is so underrated, y'all. Like, women need the time to process the changes that are happening. They need time to process this new chapter that they're embarking on. And I just think that, you know, it's not a matter of like being secretive or trying to trick people or be deceiving. You really just need your privacy. You need your moment to yourself to wrap your mind around what's happening. I knew people would be happy for me, but I knew they would also have questions. And, you know, the age thing. Like, you guys are not the only ones, you know, with questions about advanced maternal age. Everyone pretty much does. And so in knowing that, I needed the time to like sit with it and like process it and get all of my talking points together, you know, because I did not want people to worry. So I went through some pretty serious steps to keep this pregnancy from you guys and from everyone else in my life. I'm talking like cousins and aunties. Like, I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to wait to tell everyone. So people like Aaron and Martina were like helping me pretend to be drinking. So silly, because I knew if I wasn't like drinking during the holiday or drinking during my birthday or something like that, you guys would notice it right away, because y'all know I'm a have me a drink. So I had to like pretend, and you guys may notice in some parts of those experiences, if you were really paying attention, I actually was like telling on myself, but didn't realize it until later. I was like drinking water out of wine glasses. I remember when we did the toast for my birthday, I had water in my glass, and then after the fact, my sister was like, you should have put some juice or something in your glass. She was like, this is obvious that you're pregnant, Vaughn. You have water in a wine glass. And I was like, oops. She'd be taking a shot, I'd be pretending to take a shot. It was so stupid, I know, but I really just needed the privacy, guys, because it wasn't the time to be like coming out and speaking about it. In the beginning of the pregnancy, you guys know I was sick, much like before. I had, you know, the hyperemesis symptoms and things. The only difference is between last time and this time is that I didn't actually get the official diagnosis, and that's because I was anticipating the HG to kind of come back, okay? So I was like sitting around waiting for it, and when it showed its ugly head, okay, I went straight to the doctor to ask for diclegis and whatever else. So I got in front of it a lot sooner than before. So when I was pregnant with Ann, I was suffering for about 16 weeks, and I had lost like a total of like 22 pounds. So I got the diagnosis then because I had lost the weight necessary. But for this time, my doctor needed me to lose more weight first before I could meet the requirements for HG. So I didn't lose anything but like 12 pounds this time around, and I only suffered for like 3 weeks. So the medication kicked in, it worked for me. I was able to start eating and drinking more. So I didn't get the official diagnosis, but y'all, it's still HG because I still have the same medication. I'm still going through all the same exact symptoms. I just didn't lose the initial weight at the beginning, which is all right with me. So as where we are right now, I'm still taking my diclegis. I'm still on the same medicinal regimen, and it's been helping so much. I'm able to eat small meals all day long. At night, it slows down. I start getting a little nauseous, and that's when it's time for me to take my next dose. So I'm managing a lot better this time around because I knew exactly what to expect. Another question that you guys had was, what are some of the major differences between these two pregnancies? That is one of them, right? Knowing what to expect, knowing exactly what to expect, and getting in front of it, being able to treat. And I had more of a plan going into it, so I'm a lot more prepared this time. Someone asked specifically, how much weight have I gained so far? So in my last pregnancy, for the entire pregnancy, I gained 30 pounds. I'm probably gonna do the same thing this time, I'm thinking. But so far, I've gained about 20 pounds. Around this time in the last pregnancy, I was a little further along in my weight gain, but I'm also more fit this time around than I was before, and I've also worked out longer this time than before. I think when I was pregnant with Ann, I worked out until about 7 months, and then that was it. This time, I'm working out way beyond that. You know, just knowing what to expect, I feel like time is flying this time around. I'm not as impatient with myself. I'm not indulging as much in different cravings because I'm really trying to be more responsible in this pregnancy because there is more at stake because I am older. So I'm a lot more health conscious. I know a lot more about nutrition than I did before. I'm way more confident in my food selections. I'm not, you know, I don't have a fear-based diet like I used to have. So it's just running so much smoother, you guys. Another major difference in the actual baby themselves is I did notice that when I was pregnant with Ann, there was a lot less fetal movement, to the point where I thought I was experiencing too much movement in this pregnancy. I actually went and looked it up and like had conversations with medical professionals about it. Like, is this baby moving too much? Whereas with Ann, the moments were so far and few between that I remember, you know, reaching for my camera and trying to capture the movement. I couldn't imagine doing that this time. It's like the baby is moving like every day, all day. Why would I want to capture it on a video? Also with this pregnancy, I experienced a couple of occasions, not many, but enough to talk about, of acid reflux, to the point of like having to like sit up and like change positions, and like if I'm doing an activity I have to stop that activity, like kind of a pretty, you know, substantial amount of acid reflux. I didn't have any of that at all with Ann. I remember when we were coming back from Egypt on that flight, we did business class flying back, and I'm so glad we did that, honey, because I had acid reflux so bad on the way back that, you know, I'm glad I had the room like where my seat was to like get up and stand up, move around. I was able to recline or sit up if I needed I had room because I was so uncomfortable, and I had to end up, you know, taking some chewable medication for that. Like, I've never had to do that in my life, but I needed the relief because it was so bad. It was making me feel like I was gonna throw up. The baby is actually bigger this time, right? So with every measurement, when I go to my doctor's visits, the baby is measuring like a week ahead almost in every visit. In the 85th percentile for growth from my last ultrasound. Being prepared in this pregnancy was so important to me. You know, like when I was pregnant with Ann, I was a lot younger. I was kind of just winging everything as far as like my mental health and things. And I guess I got lucky that I did not have postpartum. I had whatever the opposite of postpartum is, because I was obsessed with Ann. Like, I was just like, I don't even want to work anymore. I just want to be a mother. You know, like, it changed everything. Ann changed everything for my life. It's because of Ann that I'm sitting right here in front of you guys right now, because I was like, I'm just gonna do YouTube. This is what I'm most passionate about. This allows me to be at home. I can still earn an income doing this, and I can be at home, because y'all, nothing mattered when Ann got here but her. Like, the world just completely shifted. And I think with this baby, the world is shifting again for me in a lot of ways, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I wasn't sad at all. Like, I didn't experience any, you know, emotional plummeting. I didn't have any negative thoughts. I was just like in a blissful wonderland with Ann. Like, I was so obsessed with her. And so this time around, though, I do realize that postpartum depression can affect any pregnancy, right? You could have had a great pregnancy this time, a postpartum one this time, a great one the next one. You know, it really doesn't care. It can just strike at any time, anyone. So I definitely want to be proactive about that. So I've been seeing a mental health professional, my regular psychotherapist, and then I went to see, what do they call it? A neonatal mental health care professional, just because that's how serious I am about making sure that a lot of these different ups and downs that are going on in my life are not going to affect my pregnancy, and it's not going to affect my postpartum experience. Okay, I had to switch out the battery. I'm talking so much, I done killed the battery. And that kind of brings me to this next question that somebody asked, and then we'll wrap it up after this. Somebody asked me, was I going to hire some help leading up to when the baby arrives? And you know, we have had conversations about that. We have talked a lot about that, and I think the short answer is yes. Anytime I really need some real serious help in my life, in my personal life, I always have to hire somebody, right? And that's not any shade to my family. It's just that if I'm looking for consistent, dedicated, unconditional help, you know what I mean, like with no strings attached, I do have to hire people for that. And we did have a nanny when Ann was coming along, and I was still working in corporate at that time, but we had someone full-time coming into the house, being with her all day. We had a really great nanny for that, and that person is actually still in our lives, and they are an option as well for this baby. We just have to figure out what we're doing, right? Because like, it's a lot of commencements happening like all at once. We got Ann starting school, we got the new baby, we got, you know, all these different family dynamics, you know, kind of shifting and things. I was actually telling Anthony, like, whoever comes, I don't want them to ever leave. I want to get someone who can just be like a live-in. Like, wouldn't that be great? So if we were to come across something like that, and then we figure out we can actually afford that, y'all, I'm probably doing it. Seriously, just don't ever leave. Just come live with us. Because one of my main priorities with this baby is going to be self-care. I have focused on myself, my mental wellness, more now than ever before in my entire life, you guys, okay? I have a lot of people who are invested in the soundness of my mental health, and I've never ever had that before, y'all, is the main thing I want you to take from this. I've never had that. This is all super new to me, and I'm extremely grateful that I do have this kind of support now. But yeah, this is a first. Oh, you know, something else that's different this time around, y'all, nothing fits, okay? I've had to buy so many more maternity clothing pieces just to function. I don't know if it's because the baby's bigger this time, or if it's because I wore a lot of stretchy stuff back in the day or something. I don't know, but yeah, I just remember like not having to buy as much maternity stuff. This time I had to buy new maternity pajamas, going out outfits, you know, everyday running errands outfits, stuff for parties. Like, I feel like just a whole new wardrobe had to be purchased this time. But I'm really lucky because this time around, you know, 6 years later, there's like websites like Shein, and I've just been able to get just about everything from Shein, from their maternity section. There's so many more options. Oh yeah, and my stomach is itching a lot more now than before. Less discomfort and more sleep this time than before. I feel like with Ann, I could never sleep through the night fully. Like, I would always wake up. But when I sleep with this baby, the position that I fall asleep in is the position that I'm gonna wake up in. Like, I don't even move. I sleep like a bear now. So I'm getting a good amount of sleep, y'all. Like, I'm averaging like 9 hours a night. night. I remember Ann rested on my bladder for a good part of the pregnancy. This time I'm not having any of that. So like my bathroom moments are because I'm drinking so much water. It's not because the baby is laying on my bladder like Ann was. Somebody asked me what was I craving. I'm craving cake, y'all. Like I watch cake making videos on Instagram and YouTube like all night long. So I've been like buying cakes and stuff and eating lots of cake. I had the Dove bar cravings in the beginning and I've kind of phased those out because I just stopped buying them, and if they're not in the house, they're not you know, an option. As far as Ann's reaction to everything, so you guys know my daughter is level 3 autism. She's nonverbal, so she's not able to truly express how she feels or how she's processing all this, and it's kind of difficult for us to kind of tell whether or not she actually understands what's going on. But we do have ways of kind of knowing, like when Ann can sense something different or when she's excited. I mean, you know, we're her parents, we know her best, so we can kind of tell when her temperament shifts, you know, based on changes in the environment. And she does realize that my stomach is getting big. She does realize that something's always moving in here, but I don't think she realizes yet that this is going to be a living, breathing sibling that's going to be joining her very soon. But she knows that something's going on and she's very curious. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this first installment of my pregnancy Q&A. What do you guys think? Is this good? Do you like it? Are you gonna come back next week? I'm gonna try to post these every Wednesday or Thursday. I'll give myself some leeway there. Every Wednesday or Thursday, and we're probably just gonna, like I said, do it for the month of July. But if you guys seem to have more questions, and if this thing evolves into something else, who knows, then we'll let it kind of spill over into August. But definitely I'm down to sit here and talk with you guys. I had a great time, you know, chatting with y'all today. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Put your questions down there, you know, whatever you need to say. And I'll definitely see you guys on Sunday, so come back and watch the vlog for sure. And then we'll do the next installment of this series next Wednesday. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Mwah. Bye.